Anyhow, so Katie, it's the top of the hour. We'll quit the chit chat and get right to the subject. You're welcome to the webinar.
Yeah, it's really exciting to be talking about this product today and the topic of CBD. It's been, CBD for me has been a key part of my life for the last couple of years since I discovered it. And I won't go without it now. I make sure I've got some. And when I'm running low, I'll get some more. I mean, I use it personally. I've used it as a replacement for, Panadol, Panadine, for pain relief for my back. So for those of you who are on the call, welcome. If you're watching the recording, thanks for watching the recording. Because
before you go on, Katie, so here in the United States, we've been doing research on it for years, but we didn't legalize it until the late part of 2018.
Yeah. Well, and that's how we're going to be, and that's how Sisel's able to do it now moving forward is as long as it complies with the TGA guidelines. So it can be.
And when did that change?
It was a few years. As long as it's 2% or less, but the full spectrum's allowed.
0.2%, not 2%, 0.2%.
Yeah.
0.2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to make sure that people understand that, because if it was 0.2, you'd be having the hallucinogenic effect.
Yeah.
Right, but 2.2%, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. So here in the United States, we can get by with 0.3%.
Yeah, 0.3. Yeah.
0.3. So we can have 0.1% more THC than you guys can.
Right.
Yeah.
And the THC is not the component that has all the health benefits though. Right.
So I kind of jotted down some stuff and some different notes and things like that. A lot of people, like when you go talk to, say, your mom or my mom and dad, people that age, why is this so controversial? Why do they look at it as something, oh no, can't use that?
Yeah, so my mum's quite convinced it's addictive. And it's got a bad name because people were because it's illegal, it's been illegal. People have used it recreationally for getting high.
Not CBD. They've been using the marijuana, which is, there's a difference. There's a difference between hemp.
But I think people don't understand that though. They don't understand that there is a big difference.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So that's why I was kind of asking that question, because then it would lead into what we're going to talk about. So there's two types of cannabis, right?
Yeah.
You have hemp, and then over here on this side you have marijuana.
Yeah.
Marijuana is high in THC, hallucinogenic. Over here on the other side you have the hemp. That's not. That doesn't have it. It has a little bit of THC, and there's some that doesn't have any. But there's a little bit of THC, and then they can take out, and like we're talking about, they can bring it down to that 0.2 or 0.3%.
Yeah.
That we need to legalize it in your country and our country.
That's right.
Yeah. And at that level, it's not addicting, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I like to have it, because if I don't have that, then I'd be looking for something else to take. But yeah, it's not, and it's not something that you can, get high off. It's like, the people worry, they're going to get high if they take it. It's not going to do that. It's just going to help with, relaxing the body. And I guess we're going to get into all the benefits and how it does help. But,
well, my brother, I when you say you don't get high, I'll be honest with you. My brother, he was a year older than me. He passed away last year, but I had him using the Sisel CBD. And here's what he told me. He said that when he first started using it, he said it relaxed him so much that he actually felt like he was high.
But does he know what that feels like?
No, my brother didn't relax well.
Yeah.
He relaxed by working on something.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know what really feels like to relax. And I remember when I first took the Sisel CBD, I took it. I was in the kitchen and I took just a half dose.
Yeah.
And middle of the afternoon, because that's when it showed up at my door. Middle of the afternoon, and it's like, holy cow, I'm tired.
Right.
And it was that way for a couple of days. It just relaxed me that much.
Right. Yeah. And I find, you know, when I've used it, it does that too. Like if I've woken up in the middle of the night, or if I've had interrupted sleep and I couldn't get back to sleep, and I was, you know, feeling uncomfortable, then, you know, if I take some, it would really help to put me back to sleep, and it would help me a deeper sleep too, a better quality sleep and a deeper sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think it's great. And the thing that I love is that it's all natural. You know, we really want to be using as many, you know, plant-based natural medicines that we can. Well, I do personally, I can't speak for other people, you know, rather than taking, you know, a pharmaceutical from the chemist, if possible. Obviously, you know, take your doctor's advice. But for me, I think it's just, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons it's so popular as well, because it just does have so many health benefits. And a lot of the health benefits, Curt, I actually don't understand. There's the cannabinoid system and the receptors in the body and the different ways that and then we have these naturally producing cannabinoids, I think it is, in the body, and the CBD helps to boost those levels. And so it has wide and far-reaching benefits for the body. So I kind of understand that bit, but I don't really understand it, certainly on the level that you do.
Yeah. Well, bottom line is that it's almost like our body was designed to have cannabinoids, right? We've got what they call the endo, which means inside, the endocannabinoid system.
Right.
And what that means is that we've got receptors. And so you have a receptor sitting over here, and then you have this cannabinoid, and it fits in that receptor, right?
Yeah.
And it causes something to happen, which is supposed to happen. So here you have this receptor, and for the last 100 years, since they banned using CBD and cannabinoids, this receptor has been staying open. And it wasn't until really the 90s when they discovered this endocannabinoids system, and they really started to investigate hemp and CBD.
Right.
So only what, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
But it had been used. If you go back 100 years ago, if you go back, you know, to the early 1900s, almost all doctors, American doctors, I don't know about Australia, but I'm going to guess in Australia too, they prescribed marijuana and hemp as part of their treatment, because they found that it worked so good. But it wasn't until 1937 that they actually banned it, and they banned the use of it because, well, and I'm going to say it the way that I look at it, the drug companies discovered that it was big money, and they wanted to capitalize on that money, so they banned something that was, you know, really growing in everybody's backyard.
Well, you know, the weird thing is, in Australia, in the Australian Capital Territory, the ACT, it's fully legal there. You can consume it and have it, and even grow it.
Now you're talking marijuana, not just hemp.
Yeah, I'm talking all of it.
All of it. Any plant you want, as far as the cannabis plant.
Yeah, in the ACT. Which
now,
is
why is it that you have it legalized there but nowhere else?
Well, ACT is where all, you know, the government runs the country, is where all the politicians are. So I don't know. I can't.
Well, you already answered it. Politicians. Yeah, they can do. They think that they can do whatever they want. And if there's any politicians listening right now, hey, you fit that bill. If the shoes fit, right?
So yeah. So anyway, it's really exciting, and to be able to, you know, start sharing this sort of product with people, because I think, you know, it can have a lot of benefits, and especially for somebody who hasn't tried it before, you know. And I just want to put in a disclaimer too. You know, anything I say is not intended to treat, prevent, cure, diagnose, anything, any disease or illness. And if you are unwell, you should consult your physician. And if you do have any concerns about taking any supplements, be it CBD or anything else, do consult your doctor first.
That's right.
But I've spoken to my doctor about it, and for me, I have used it as a replacement for me personally, as an alternative for pain relief and helping to sleep. And I just think that's massively huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and so when you're talking about, okay, so you're using it for pain relief, you're using it for sleep. That's really two of the reasons I used it as well after my motorcycle accident, which was August of 2007. It was like 5 years I didn't hardly sleep at all. And I found that the only thing that helped me was using CBD and using hemp, using, even marijuana. And that was the only thing that really helped me so I could sleep. And so I started kind of reading up on it, but I really didn't read up on it that much until right when Tom announced that we were going to have CBD with Sisel, and then I started studying it. I was a user, but I wasn't a researcher into it.
Right.
But so they're showing that, and I'm reading from my notes here, so excuse me, but they're showing that CBD can really help with moods. It can help decrease appetite. It can help with sleep, and it also can help balance out hormones.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Look, can we go through those? Because, they're all really important things. So it can help you reduce your appetite. Of course, if you have, people who have normal marijuana, not CBD, which is different, of course, it makes them eat more. They can use it to gain weight. Whereas the CBD, because it's got that THC removed, it actually can help, you're saying, with the appetite. So it can help people with weight loss. That's
right. So it can help you so you don't feel hunger. It cuts out those hunger, those cravings.
Yeah, wow.
CBD can. Yeah.
And what was the other? Let's go through the other ones you said there.
So mood, it can help with mood.
Oh yeah, right? Definitely. So if you're feeling stressed and you just want to take the edge off, because actually it was Tom that was saying on a call, after his father passed, that he said he wouldn't have got through the last few weeks if it wasn't for the CBD. And I found that a really interesting comment, because, how does someone feel after losing someone? Incredibly sad. They're probably they might have trouble sleeping and might even have a bit of anxiety. So obviously, he said that he wouldn't have got by without it. So I thought that was pretty amazing comment to make.
Yeah. And how it does it is it works with the neurotransmitters in your brain. The neurotransmitters are the chemicals in your brain: serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, and norepinephrine, epinephrine, different neurotransmitters, chemicals in your brain. And what the CBD does is it tends to balance those out.
Yeah. Well.
Right. So we can't say it increases, because then we're making drug claims. But what we're saying is that it tends to balance it out, support a balanced system. Right. Yeah. So that's how it does that. And that's how it helps with the hormones as well. The exact same way.
Yeah, because it's interesting you say that helps to balance things out. When I ran out and I stopped taking it, because at first I thought, it wasn't really doing that much. It's not a really super strong pain relief. I guess if you take enough of it will be, but I thought, I can get by without it. And then when I ran out, I'm like, it was making a big difference, and now I won't be without it, because that's when you really notice, when you stop taking it, and if you can notice a difference, it just really takes that edge off, and just for me makes me feel more relaxed, and things are more manageable. And I guess in the same way that Tom had made that comment about him taking it during that period, so that's really interesting too.
Yeah, and if you take a look in our body, there's CBD receptors, there's endocannabinoid receptors in every cell, right? Yeah. So if we're not getting enough, then those receptor sites are always going to be empty. And so when we're talking about moods and hormones and neurotransmitters, chemicals in the brain and things like that, let me ask you this question. And I know that you probably know the answer, but you might not think of it right off, but what organ in the body has the most receptors, has the highest concentration of receptors?
For cannabinoids?
Yes.
I haven't actually studied it, but I'd say either the brain or the thyroid.
The brain?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the brain has the highest concentration of cannabinoid receptors, and so it just stands that you're going to have a lot of. It stands to say that you're going to have a lot of neural type of responses to it. You know, like hormones and mood and pain relief and things like that, because that's all processed up here in the brain.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
And the ability to relax, like what you said, a lot of people have trouble relaxing. We live in a really busy world. You know, we've got a tremendous amount of stress going on, and even more so in this time with everything that's going on in the world. And, you know, being able to relax is really, really important for health. And some people, you know, find it difficult. You know, I know that I've got family members that relax by having a drink, and that's, you know, not the best way to be doing it, I think. So, you know, what other things can you do to help yourself relax that are going to have more, you know, health benefits for you and not be so harmful?
That's right. So we've talked about the benefits. We've kind of given a little bit about the history of it, and you know, and that's all great. You know, so people have kind of a background. And so really 2018, 3 years ago, all of a sudden we introduced these products into the market. The United States takes it off the banned substance list. The World Health Organization actually, they actually said, if the United States doesn't pull it off the controlled substance list, we're gonna list it as a non-addictive substance, even if the United States doesn't pull it off the banned substance list. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. And that's quite forward thinking, isn't it? So that's good.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden you start taking it off the banned substance list, and United States kind of sets the pace for a lot of countries. And so then now all of a sudden these other countries start to say, hey, we're gonna allow it, and these different people start to allow it. But yeah, they even found that it helps with decreasing inflammation, and inflammation is so important right now, right? I mean, with everything that's happening in the world right now with this pandemic, I mean, that's our major problem with the virus is inflammation. So it stands to reason anything we can do to lower the inflammation, right? Anything that we can do, you know. So so when we compare different products, right? So, you know, we talk about marijuana. It has low CBD, sometimes not even any, but it's got high THC. Then we talk about hemp, and hemp is high in CBD but low in THC. So there's hemp extracts, and then you're going to hear other products on the market called hemp oil.
Yeah, is that like the one someone was asking about the other day, and we were doing a comparison?
Yeah. So in comparison, it's kind of like comparing, you know, steak to salad. They're both food, but they, you know, and they have similar properties to them. But hemp extracts have 150,000 parts per million of CBD.
Right.
150,000 parts per million. Hemp oil has 25.
Right.
Right. So think about that. 25 compared to 150,000.
Well, that's a big difference.
It's a big difference
That's
when it's something that's beneficial.
That's why they're allowed to sell hemp oil in the health food stores, because it doesn't have all those components in there.
That's right, because it has, I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't have anything, because there's, you know, there's 80 different known cannabinoids.
Yeah.
And there's 400 other different chemicals that are found in hemp.
Yeah.
But you're not going to find the concentration of the CBD. And so when you talk about hemp oil, typically that comes from the hemp seed.
Right.
Right. So I just wanted to point that out. And then there's things that they can do to it. They can manipulate it a little bit. And you hear about people talking about isolates, right? Have you heard about hemp isolates?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So what they're doing is they're taking, like, they might take just CBD, and they put that in a product. So they say it's just CBD.
Right.
There's nothing else. And then they have broad spectrum, and all that is they've taken the hemp extract and they removed all of the THC. So now it's called broad spectrum. And then you have the full spectrum, which it has a little bit of THC. And they actually find that little bit of THC, it's like part of the mix. It's got to be there in order for it to work.
Right.
to get the best results.
Yeah, right. Okay, wow. And so another important part of, any CBD product is its purity and, who's manufactured it, contaminants. Has it been tested? Is it what it says it is? Because I see there's a tremendous amount of people out there buying this sort of thing from different places, and they have not looked at any certificate of purity. But they don't know who's made it, how it's made, anything like that. And I think that's a big deal in today's world because, you want to know where it's come from. You want to know that it's been made properly and that it doesn't contain contaminants. Because then if it does, all of a sudden it's no longer a health product, it's actually going to harm you.
That's right. So when you take a look at, who Dr. Oz is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Oz, he's got that TV show. So Dr. Oz took and he had, I don't remember if it was 50 different samples of CBD or 100 different samples of CBD. And he was doing a show on it. And he only got partway through the show and he said, this is BS. He said, none of these have what they say. So he had gone through most of them, and almost all of them, I want to say, if I remember the show, there was like 90% of them, 80 to 90% didn't have CBD in them, but that's what they were selling it as.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So they're showing that CBD actually helps out with gut problems as well. Did you know that?
No. Well,
digestive problems.
Yeah. How is it doing that? Is it, in some way, if you're helping the brain to relax, that's going to help your gut because there's a direct connection between your brain and your gut. But does it do something additional to the actual gut as well?
Yeah, it actually makes it so that the cell membrane is more permeable.
Right.
Right. So the nutrients can pass in and out through the cell wall lining better.
Wow.
When you use a CBD.
Wow, it's got a lot of benefits, doesn't it?
There's a lot of benefits to it. So, so when we're talking about, specifically our brand of CBD, which you guys will have available hopefully before the end of the month, but it might be September. I don't know. There's so many factors that are involved with getting a product to another country, but it'll be soon. Let's just leave it at it'll be soon. Yeah. And so the nice thing about the Sisel Safe CBD, our brand of CBD, it's full spectrum. So it has that little bit, it has that 0.02% THC. So it's a full spectrum. So it's got all the benefits of everything that we're talking about.
Yeah. Because when we compared it to another product the other day that someone was using, well, what did you say in your notes? You said it was 7.5 times stronger. Our one was 7.5 times stronger than the one that the person was using. Yeah.
So the product that you sent me the information on, they put it in a smaller bottle. So they put it in a 30 milliliter bottle. Ours, and I don't know what the one that we're going to ship down to you guys, if it'll be 30 or 60, we have both. But then you can manipulate the numbers. You make it look like, oh, there's more in there. But it's the concentration. Yeah. And that one was 7.5 times less concentrated than what ours is.
Right.
So you're not gonna get your biggest bang for the buck, and
it means they're gonna have to take a lot more to have any benefit.
Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about what we have with ours, we've got that certificate of analysis, that QR code.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and there's other companies that are doing that too. So that's good. That just says that, hey, we got a product. It is what it says it's going to be. It's got third-party validation that when it says it's at 0.2% THC, we know that it's not 0.5. We know that it's not 2%. We know it's 0.2 because we got the third-party validation on it. Yeah. And they test the different batches of it and everything like that. But the other thing that we have at Sisel is we have the fact that we are an FDA regulated facility. Yeah. I remember Tom Sr. telling me, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember, but he said that the FDA had just left the manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
Because they were testing to see, are they on the up and up? Are they producing a product that is 0.3% THC? And so they'll come in and test that. So we know based on that. And then we have the certified good manufacturing process rating as well, which means that whatever we put on the label is what's in the product.
Because it's amazing. The American one, the CBD, they've got a little code on there and you can scan it, QR code. And so when you scan it, you can see the certificate of analysis, which shows the purity of the product and everything that's in it. I mean, that's fantastic for, transparency so that people know what they're taking, as opposed to some of these other products that I've seen people taking, Curt. They've pretty much got no labeling, hardly any labeling on the bottle. Some even mightn't have any, which makes me question who's making it, who's making the product. So, it says here, it does use the 2%. It says 2% or less of cannabinoids, which is different to THC. And so maybe that's where the 0.02 versus 2% is getting kind of mixed up.
Yeah.
Because they were referring it to as a different component within the actual CBD. I was just looking that up because I did read that on the government site.
Yeah, so we have to follow the regulations if we want to get it into your country. We had to follow the regulations to get it into our country. I remember when Tom Jr. was working with it, he actually pursued it. He was actually working on getting CBD into Sisel. He was actually kind of setting the groundwork for it before he even told his dad that he was doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I remember his dad saying, we won't have CBD. He said, we will not have a CBD product.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden his son is working with the Utah state government to become a FDA regulated CBD production plant.
Yeah, wow.
And then Tom Jr. went around and he flew to the different states like Kentucky and South Dakota and Colorado, where these huge CBD hemp farms were already growing this hemp, right? And he wanted to make sure that they had non-GMO.
Yeah.
That they were
genetically modified for those listening.
Yeah. Yep. And then on top of it, no pesticides, no herbicides, no chemicals.
Really important. Yeah, especially for those people that are very much into organic, and pesticide free, don't want that residual chemical in whatever we're taking.
Yep. Because you can have a non-GMO product and still have pesticides.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the genetically modified, so GMO, genetically modified, thing is too, when things are genetically modified, and if it doesn't say, I ate some popcorn the other day and I realized on the popcorn was really big. It looked like supersized popcorn. And I thought, hang on a minute. And I looked on the packet. It didn't say that it was non-GMO. So it probably was GMO. And so the problem with that, normally I get organic. The problem with that is probably got more spray. Doesn't GMO crops get more spray than non-GMO crops? Don't.
Sometimes. But, you realize all corn is GMO.
Right, unless it says it on the packet.
All corn is GMO.
Even in Australia, the organic one, can they do that?
All corn is GMO.
Because it's all been modified at some point.
Yeah, because corn, which was originally called maize, came from down by Mexico, down in South America, the Central America part of the world, and it was more like grass. It had more like a tall grass, and then they genetically modified it by pushing the different corn plants together, and they were able to get it so it produced the cob of corn that you and I know as corn.
Right. Okay. Well,
so
anyway,
so you don't have to think of chemicals. A lot of people, when they say GMO, they think of chemicals.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it's just rubbing two plants together and you've genetically modified it.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's interesting to know. So yeah, that's really important about that. Can we touch back on, one of the other benefits, which is really, I guess, important, is the immune. How does it support the body's immune system?
Well, you got to remember, where is 70 to 80% of your immune system coming from?
The gut, yeah.
Right. So if it's supporting a healthy gut, it's gonna support the immune system. And then top of that, think of it like this: if you're stressed out, don't you tend to get sick more often?
Yeah. And I was thinking about that the other day. Yeah. If your stress levels, what does what does being stressed and having pain do to the body, because it's getting your cortisol up, and if you're not able to relax, that's not good at all.
Yeah. So here's something else too, and this comes from I wrote this down. So this comes from a federal patent. So this is a United States government patent on cannabinoids, and it says cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants. Antioxidants, right? So when you're asking how does it help with the immunity? Well, it's a powerful antioxidant. So it easily penetrates the tissue in the body. This is what it says in their patent. It easily penetrates the tissue, enters the central nervous system and the brain, and it's non-psychoactive and non-toxic, and it's unique antioxidants that help. The strength is higher than vitamin C or vitamin E.
Really? Higher than C or E? Wow.
So that's what it says on the government website, on the government patent, the United States government patent on cannabinoids as antioxidants and neuroprotectants.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, well, it's really got far-reaching health benefits, hasn't it?
Right. And the government's knowing a lot of these things. I mean, if you're a government employee and you're watching this, I mean, hey, whatever. But I had your book back in the 70s, and we actually grew some plants in my closet that they were more the THC forming kind of plant. But I was in college back then, so yeah, anyhow, we used the government book on how to grow those plants. They told us in a book from the United States government how to grow those plants.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm admitting it now, right on to the world.
Right.
That I did that stuff back then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the CBD. Okay, somebody's just asked a question. Let's just have a quick look at the chat box. So if you've got any questions about it, drop it into the chat box if you're on the call. So let's have a look. We've got.
So how does it help with autism? That's one that I just saw pop up. Okay, so autism is a type of a condition that has a lot to do with the gut permeability. And so if CBD is helping with making the gut so the permeability is improved, it supports a healthy permeability, it's going to help that way. But the other thing is like we talked about, it's going to help with the neurotransmitters. And so there's kind of a mix up in people that have autism spectrum, where there's a mix up in some of the neurotransmitters, the dopamine and things like that. So will it show up in a drug test? It is a fat soluble. THC is fat soluble. So in some sensitive drug tests, it will, and it will show up over a period of time.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's legal to take, if it's been approved to take and be purchased, and it's not one that hasn't, because there's a lot out there that haven't been approved. But I guess, if it depends on the sensitivity.
Well, yeah, it depends on, like here in the United States, if you're a truck driver, if you're driving a semi down the road, you have to be drug free, and they get tested. They can be spot checked, and THC stays in your system for 30 days. And so they can be spot checked at any time. And if there's any THC that shows up, they aren't measuring how much. They aren't saying, oh, you're just doing a THC product, CBD product. They're saying, hey, you have this THC in your system. So in that case, then you want to use the THC free, because you'll lose your truck driving license. If you work for certain businesses, they ban the use of THC as well. So you have to, and up until they can, measure how much is in your system and how long it's been in the system, that's always going to be a problem. But down the road, they'll have a way of measuring how much is in the system. So the concentration,
especially as it's getting approved across the world and more countries are using it, they're going to be, it's going to be more readily available in our country, in Australia, here over the next year or two as well. So
that's right.
Okay, so Carmel's got another question there.
Oh, I didn't see the next one.
She says, if somebody's had a vaccine, can it help them? I mean, the answer to that question is whether you've had a vaccine or not. Ultimately, what we're all concerned about is immunity, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
we've already discussed how it can help with immunity. Did you want to add anything else to that?
I was just gonna say, I mean, you got THC over here, you got the vaccine over here. It's two different worlds,
Yeah.
they're not gonna affect each other. I think the question that I have for you, Katie, is, okay, so where are most people going to find out about the CBD?
Yeah, it's word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. And why is that? Why is it that, okay, if I want to find out about a vaccine, for example, I'm going to go to my doctor, and my doctor's going to tell me about, but why won't my doctor tell me about CBD?
I guess they're not fully aware of it. They're not trained in it. They don't understand it. They're not encouraged to promote it or use it. There's some doctors that do take it upon themselves and recommend it to their patients, but they're probably few and far between. Not every doctor would do that.
Yeah.
So
up until 2 years ago, I wrote this down in my notes here. That's why I wanted to ask that question. One out of every 7 medical schools actually taught the medical doctors, students, about CBD.
Right.
So how can they talk about it when they don't learn about it?
That's right. And generally it's somebody who's used it themselves and they found benefit and they tell a friend. And then that friend, now has a little bit of trust. They think, oh, well, Mary's had it, so I should give it a go as well. And that's how they do that. So, when it is released here shortly, it would be great for, if you're listening to the recording or if you're on the call live, to definitely try the product at least, so that then you could tell, a friend about it, a family member, a friend, a relative, someone that you come across, because, it is, a natural alternative for anyone that's into, looking for those sort of things.
Okay. And we just got a comment there. It said in Australia, doctors can choose to learn about it and then they can tell their patients, but if they don't go and get special training on it, then they can't. But they're saying that CBD is going to be a $22 billion a year industry.
Yeah, wow.
$22 billion a year. So think about it. If it's going to be a $22 billion a year industry by, next year or the year after, and it's going to be word of mouth, you guys are finding out about this at a perfect time. If you want to go on, and for those of you that want to build a small business and you just want to do a CBD business, let's say you don't want to learn anything about healthy coffee, you don't want to learn anything about anti-aging, you don't want to learn anything about improving the immune system or lowering heart disease or, any of that other stuff like what we have. And you say, I just want to learn about CBD. You could build a whole business just on that.
Yeah. It's a popular product, the CBD products. And especially I think it's really important too. And that's why I'm really happy we're doing this call, and we'll do more of them to try and help educate people about the different types of CBD products are on the market. What's the difference between a really good product and one not as good? What are the kind of 5 things? And maybe we could do another call on that next time and go, these are the these are the checklists. Like if you're going to take a CBD product, these are the things you want to look out for. You want to look at purity. You want to look at this and that, and go through kind of a checklist. And then, you could actually have that as a discussion point with someone so that, if they are already taking a product, you can do a little comparison to see the difference there. And I just think I still love the fact, and this is one of the big things for me, is, knowing where you get your product from, knowing who manufactures it. Do you trust the manufacturer? Or are you just taking something that you have no idea where it come from? Because, that always makes me really nervous. You want it from a trusted source. Yeah.
So Letitia, you're asking about how does the CBD rub, the warming lotion, and that actually work? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you my experience from this week, because I haven't used the warming lotion ever before. And I know Katie's told me to use it, and I just haven't. And I broke my back 8 months ago. And after I broke my back, I find that when I walk too much, I get these leg cramps. And so the other day I decided, Katie, you know, based on your recommendation, that I would order some. So I ordered some of the warming lotion, and after I got done taking my shower that morning, I rubbed it into my leg muscles, the muscles that normally cramp up, and I mean, I'm telling you, I could feel the warmth of that lotion uh, in my legs till I went to bed that night,
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
and
fantastic.
it increased circulation, and it made it so my legs didn't cramp up at all that day. So, Letitia, I hope that answers your question.
I mean, Sisel just makes such, great products, such high quality products, and that's why, we love them. So I guess we'll look forward to hearing more about it soon. We're waiting for that announcement shortly, but we know it's very soon, and then we will get all the details on, about the product, what's going to be available, and all of that. So
Yeah, and that answers Maria's question. She said, "What products are you going to have access to?" Well, really honestly, I'm going to say you're going to have access to all the products that I have access to. So you're going to have the cooling lotion, you're going to have the warming lotion, you're going to have the CBD, and because I'm guessing now, and I'm just guessing it based on some conversations. I'm not guessing it on somebody came out and told me, but I'm guessing that we're going to change all of our CBD products to have the same formulation. So what you guys are getting will be what we're getting up here.
fantastic.
Yeah, but we'll find out. We'll find out. I tried to get Tom or Jason to jump on our call tonight, and they weren't able to. They had other commitments, so they couldn't jump on the call. And not the Thermarol, no, Marilyn, not the Thermarol. We actually have a special CBD warming lotion, but they weren't able to get on the call. But Jason said that they are going to do a special call on the CBD. I don't know if it's going to be next week or if it's going to be the week after, because we have the change call coming the week after Monday. So I'm going to guess it's the next week.
Yeah, and so then they'll announce it and when it's available. So for everyone on the call is probably thinking, oh, okay, so when can I purchase this? So we don't have the exact date, but it's really soon. That's why we're talking about it, because we really want people to start trying to understand what we have, what we're going to have in our hands. And think about the people that you could actually reach out to and share this with, because there's a tremendous amount of people that could benefit. So it's really important to start talking about it now as well, isn't it, Curt? Because it takes quite a few exposures to this sort of information. If you've heard this information for the first time, it doesn't all sink in, and you go, that sounds great, and it's not until you hear it a few times that you really think, really start to comprehend it more.
That's right. And like we were saying, I mean, it's going to be a $22 billion industry, and only 1 in 7 doctors are even know anything about it at all. And they're not going to talk about it because they don't make any money off it. So they're not going to talk about it. But so it's going to be you and me, and we're going to be the ones that are going to be building this market. So why not go out and start talking to people about the safest CBD that's on the market, and probably the most effective, because that's the beauty of doing network marketing, Katie, is that we have to have a product that gets results.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, if I have a product that doesn't work and I tell you about it and you go use it and you go, oh, this didn't work, you're not going to buy it again. So it would ruin my business. So Sisel has to have a higher quality product than your health food store or anything like that. So just remember that when you talk to people, use that as a talking point when you're talking about it. And if you have any questions, email me. I'll send out an email with a copy of this video as soon as I get it processed tonight. Katie, can you think of anything else?
I know that's it for the moment. And as soon as it's released, we'll do another call and we'll go through all the information that Sisel officially releases and talk about it again. So yeah, it's really exciting. I'm really happy that this time has finally come. We've been waiting a long time.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been waiting for this, so I'm happy about it. We'll get some more information out, and I'm sure corporate will let you know too. But sometimes they drop little hints on some of us, and they'll say, like I'm on the council here in the United States, so they might drop a little hint and say, oh, it's to be ready, and that I'm going to leak that back to all of you. So, all right.
Okay. Thanks, Curt. Thanks everyone for joining us.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.